What's up, guys, and welcome to the heroic Horridon raid guide. As always, we're going to be in 25-man mode, and we're going to be playing a fire mage for this one. The thing I need to tell you guys is, obviously, with all my heroic guides, if you want to see the normal mode abilities, go ahead and go over to the normal mode guide and take a look at that. That will explain all the different abilities. There are a few differences between heroic, normal and heroic, but I'm not going to cover most of the normal abilities in this guide. This is just kind of the update for the heroic mode and the best practices of how we found easiest to kill this. Okay, first off, you're still going to need 2 tanks, 5 to 6 healers depending on how strong your healing core is, and then a mixed DPS. Obviously, AoE DPS, cleave DPS, and strong burst DPS are the best classes for this. You're going to notice that, especially with the ads, it's just nice to have good cleave and good burst cleave to get them down in a timely manner, especially with the different abilities that start. So let's just get right into it. The first door, you're going to have the sand traps. You're going to have all these different ads. The biggest ones that you want to get down are the walkers. The walkers are the biggest threat in this. They're obviously, they spawn 2 little ads out of the door, but the guys that jump down are always pretty much the most important guys to kill on practically every door. You do want to make sure you get these guys down because they do more life. They spawn sand traps. It's just more for your raid to mess up if you don't kill these guys first. This is the biggest thing, is you want to get them down efficiently. Once you get the first one down, pretty much our rule is burn the first one down before the next 2 come down, and then you kind of AoE cleave everything else while taking care of the abilities. Okay, that's just the way we did it. So what we did is we started the first door, we have our ad tank kind of pick everything up, group everything up, and then you just chunk them down as hard as you can, burst into them, get everything going that you can until the Dinomancer comes down, okay? Once the Dinomancer comes down, he now becomes priority as per normal. However, you do need to have someone assigned to kick him the second he starts casting. The reason being is because every little bit of DPS helps. Once you get the doors figured out, you need to learn how to maximize boss damage while you're going between the doors. These are the biggest things in this fight, is maximizing DPS on the boss while controlling ads and burning ads down in a timely fashion. Okay, so what you need to understand is, so for the first door, you're just doing the same thing that we talked about, kill the walkers, and then make sure you clean up all the little ads, and you're moving to the next door. For the second door, what you really want to be doing is the Venom Priests are extremely important, okay? What you need to do is, as soon as that first Venom Priest spawn, we saved a group of cooldowns for this phase. That first Venom Priest comes down, everybody pops their cooldown, burns them down before the next one comes out. The reason is you don't want to get effusions. The more effusions you have out, the more dispels you need, the more raid damage is going out. Obviously, don't stand in the poo. That's the other big thing, is you don't want to stand in the big puddles. But that's pretty much the same thing as normal mode, okay? So the next thing that you want to do after that is, it's Venom Priests and Bloodlords, and those kind of the order that you want to kill them in. The Venom Priests need to die quick. If they do spawn an effusion, those need to go down before the Bloodlords. So it needs to go Venom Priests, effusion, then Bloodlords. But the biggest thing is make sure that you have your kick rotation set up for those Venom Priests, for their volley, because volley will hurt a ton. And as always, as soon as the Dinomancer comes down, you want to immediately switch to him until he's at 50%. Once he's at 50% and cannot heal anymore, you go back to your normal ad rotation. He will just die based off pure cleave damage, so don't worry about the Dinomancer. Again, as these ads are dying, while you're switching doors, if you can get some damage out of the boss or clean up the ads and then have everyone burn the boss, whatever works easier for your group. You'll see our group had a mixture between different attempts. There were some attempts where we had a few ads with a lot of life up, so we didn't get to put as much cleave damage or as much dot damage onto the boss as we would have liked to. There's also attempts where we had everything cleaned up to the point where we were all bursting into the boss. It's dependent on your ad control, your ad burst, and how good you are at controlling ads, keeping them grouped, and everything else. That's kind of the biggest thing, is you want to make sure that these ads are grouped up so that you're always cleave damaging and you're always AoE damaging down the ads while single targeting a certain target. The third door, you will not see a more important door for this theory than the third door. The reason I say that is because during the third door, the Frozen Warlords have a ton of health, and they are your #1 priority on this door. Reason being is they spawn the Frozen Orbs, which will be sitting there throughout the duration of the fight, so getting them down extremely fast is also important. Again, you kill the Frozen Warlords, and then you make your way down the ad list until Dino Mending comes out, the Dinomancer. Once the Dinomancer's down, same thing. The other thing that I should warn you about is range DPS. You will see randomly you will get dire fixation on you. It can happen any of the doors. Typically for range DPS it will happen earlier than later, so keep that in mind. Once you see that little pink dinosaur following you around, you just need to hit it to knock it back. It will get annoying, but it is a mechanic of heroic. It's just very important that you understand that, okay? You can make a macro, you know, slash target dire spirit, and then slash cast whatever your instant cast spell is, or if you have a dot or something like mine is Nether Tempest, and then slash target last target. That way you're only wasting one GCD, you don't have to mouse over anything or click anything, it's just boom boom and you're back on your main target. It does knock them back. You do need to keep this up though throughout the fight. It will get very annoying as the fight progresses, but it is a mechanic of heroic mode that you cannot get away from. It doesn't tend to spawn on healers until later in the fight, especially like when like Warlord comes down or whatever, so keep that in mind. Healers, you also still need to have this, so make sure that you have, you know, your druids, your moonfires, your sunfires, whatever it is that you have, smiting, anything that you can do just to quick knock some damage at them to knock them back is key during this phase, because if it does hit you, it will one-shot you. You cannot let this guy come and hit you. It's imperative for you to live. In this fight, everything matters, especially at the last phase. All healing matters, all DPS matters. It is essential. The biggest thing that you get until you get through these door phases is honing your DPS to the right targets. Is not spreading it all over. It's making sure that you have priority, that everybody knows what it is, and that everybody's following it. If you work together, this fight isn't that bad. If you start getting, you know, people who are AoEing a lot or trying to target the boss more, you're going to have a bad time. The fourth door, you got the flame casters, which do need to be interrupted. You've also got the warbears. The warbears are extremely important. They hurt, they hit like a truck, they cleave, so don't stand in front of them. And then you also, once they die, you have the shaman who do the chain lightning that hurts like a truck as well. The fourth door is obviously the hardest door, because not only do you have all these things going on, but you also have something called Hex of Confusion going on, which mages, druids, and I think that's it, can dispel, okay? So what you need to do is, as soon as that comes out, mages, you're going to be dispelling in this fight. There's no way around it, especially if your 25-man has a few druids or not that many druids, or if your 10-man does not have any druids. You're going to be on this duty, so just get used to it, mages. It's going to happen. It's not terrible. Your DPS will suffer a little bit, but it's not huge. It's more important to get that off. If you do have Hex of Confusion on you, do not attack, okay? That's the biggest thing, is you don't want to attack until you get it off, because it will pretty much one-shot you. It's just a bad thing to leave on you. The only other thing heading into the fourth phase that you need to be aware of is, obviously, every X amount of seconds, it's on a timer, he will cast Dire Call. Dire Call is an extremely painful raid-wide ability, so make sure that you have your cooldowns ready. Healers understand when the damage is incoming, because keeping people topped off in this fight is imperative. There's a lot of ways to take avoidable damage, but there's also damage coming out regardless, so you need to be aware of how that comes out, when that comes out, and that you have your cooldowns and everything properly ready for when that does happen. During the final phase, again, while keeping the dinosaur away from you and keeping your personal up for Dire Call, you do have to kill the Warlord. You have to kill him pretty much before his fifth explosion. If you don't, it will pretty much one-shot your raid at that point. So this is where you're popping hero, your second pot, everything that you have burning into the Warlord to get him down. And then once the Warlord's down, then you're tunneling into the boss. The only time that you need to move is obviously for when he does his double swipe, his front and back cone, AoE kind of cleave thing. The person who gets it just needs to run over to the tanks that no one else needs to move. The reason that this is imperative is because DPS need to DPS. They don't have time to be wasting 2 or 3 or 4 global cooldowns to run out because some idiot didn't move. It's imperative that you move back to the tank, or at least get the boss back parallel, at least far enough away so that the DPS can stack up and not move. When everybody has to move, that's when bad things happen. Healers will miscast, DPS will lose DPS, and even with our gear here, we outgeared this fight tremendously, and we should have not had any problems, and it was still very, very closely enraged. We ended up hitting the Berserk timer, but because we all spread out with about 3% left, we got him down relatively easily. And take a look at the rest of this fight, guys. But this fight is really, really good. For a heroic fight, it's got everything you want. It's got movement, it's got things to stay out of, it's got abilities to watch for, it's got Tons of damage. It's got cool different mechanics with the dire fixation, with even having to have some of your DPS do some dispels, a lot of interrupting. It's a very interactive fight, but it's all very sequential. There's not really any random things going on. Once everything's down, you know what's coming, you know what order it's coming in. It's just a matter of learning the fight, learning the doors, and then bursting down the last phase. If you can do all those things, guys, you can kill this fight. Hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, see you in the next one.